Okay, so today we're looking at a pretty wild scenario, right? What happens when you pit, a single gladiator against an entire modern army?
And not just any army, right? We're talking about the Russian army.
Exactly, the Russian army. So, this is obviously not something that could ever,
Yeah, no, this is definitely more of a thought experiment
Yeah.
than a serious prediction.
Yeah, but I think it's a cool way to kind of look at how warfare has changed, and maybe even like learn something about the strengths and weaknesses of both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about exploring the evolution of combat, right? What worked then, what works now.
Exactly.
How have things changed and why?
Right. So, first off, like, who are we dealing with here when we say gladiator? Like, what comes to mind?
So when we think of a gladiator, right, you're talking about someone trained for incredibly brutal hand-to-hand combat.
Right, like in the Colosseum. Right?
Exactly, in front of a huge crowd cheering for blood.
Yeah, with the emperor sitting right there in the best seat in the house.
Right, and they might be equipped with the gladius, that short sword.
Yeah, I've seen those in museums. They're pretty wicked looking.
Oh yeah, they are. And/or they might have a net and trident.
Oh yeah, to like entangle their opponent.
Exactly, or even a heavy scutum shield, for defense, depending on their fighting style.
So like, different gladiators had different specialties.
Absolutely, different weapons, different strategies. A little bit like different classes in a video game.
Oh, I like that analogy.
But here's the thing, right? Their training wasn't just about fighting.
Oh really?
Oh no. Gladiators had to be showmen.
Oh wow.
They had to captivate the audience, with their skill and their ferocity.
Yeah, I guess you got to give the people what they want.
Seriously, you got to put on a good show.
It's like entertainment and a fight to the death, all rolled into one.
Precisely. And imagine the pressure.
Oh my God, yeah.
Knowing that your life literally depends on pleasing the emperor and the crowd.
You mess up and it's thumbs down.
Exactly, high stakes stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. So we've got our gladiator. Now let's talk about the other side of this equation, the Russian army.
Okay, so the Russian army, right.
Yeah.
This is a force with a long and complex history.
Right. It's not just like, a bunch of guys with guns.
Oh, no. Their strategies have evolved over centuries. I mean, we're talking about going all the way back to the early days of Kievan Rus's.
Kievan Rus's.
Yeah, it was like this federation of East Slavic tribes.
Okay.
Like way back in the day.
Gotcha.
And it's evolved through all kinds of major conflicts, like World War II.
Right. World War II was obviously a huge turning point for a lot of militaries.
Absolutely. And throughout it all, they've had to adapt to, different enemies.
Right.
Challenging terrain.
The Russian winters are no joke.
No, they're not.
I've heard stories.
Yeah. So resilience and adaptability, those are key to their approach.
Okay, so that makes sense. So how big are we talking here? Like, how many soldiers are we pitting our gladiator against?
Well, at its peak, the Russian army had over 5 million soldiers.
5 million.
5 million.
That's more people than live in like a lot of countries.
Yeah, it's a massive force.
Okay, so we've got a lone warrior versus millions of soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, a direct confrontation is not going to end well for the gladiator.
No, probably not.
Right. But what if we explore some less conventional scenarios?
Okay, like what do you mean?
Like, imagine an urban warfare situation.
Okay.
Could the gladiators' agility and expertise in close quarters combat allow them to maybe carry out like a surprise attack?
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe they could even utilize their knowledge of, Roman engineering and infrastructure to their advantage.
Oh, that's a good point. They were pretty advanced for their time, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
They were very advanced.
Yeah. So instead of facing the whole army head on, they'd be like using the environment to create like a smaller, more manageable fight.
Exactly.
Okay, I see.
It plays to their strengths,
Yeah.
hit and run tactics, guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, that makes sense. Given their training, focused on individual skill and tactics.
Precisely. And this highlights like a crucial difference between these two forces, right?
Okay, what is it?
The gladiator is a master of individual combat, right? They rely on personal strength, speed, cunning.
Yeah.
The Russian army, however, emphasizes coordinated maneuvers.
Okay.
The strategic deployment of resources on a vast scale.
So it's like individual skill versus like the power of a well-oiled machine.
Exactly.
And thinking about this clash, like, it really makes you appreciate how much warfare has changed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We've gone from hand-to-hand combat in arenas to global conflicts with like advanced technology and complex logistics.
A whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and the motivations for warfare have changed too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like our gladiator probably fought for glory,
Right.
freedom, or just survival.
Survival, yeah.
But modern soldiers are often driven by national defense political ideologies.
Complex geopolitical interests.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated.
It is.
It's incredible to think about how history has shaped the way we fight and the reasons behind those battles.
Yeah, it's a fascinating journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
From the Colosseum to the vast battlefields of modern warfare, we've seen combat evolve from this very personal display of prowess to this massive coordinated strategy influenced by technology.
Right. Yeah.
And ideology.
And ideology.
It really makes you think.
It does, and it leaves us with a final thought-provoking question, right?
Okay, I like those.
If you were that lone gladiator
Yeah.
facing the overwhelming might of the modern Russian army, what strategy would you choose to maximize your chances of survival?
Wow, that's a tough one.
It is.
What resources or tactics from your time period could you leverage against a modern military force?
I don't know if I have a good answer for that one.
It's a question to ponder
Really
as we
fun.
wrap up our deep dive.
But thanks for joining us on this journey through history and combat.
My pleasure.
It's been quite a ride.
It has.
Until next time, folks.
See you then.